5, 4, 3, 2, 1. People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 214. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. It's no coincidence that our guest today is like a grand slam marketer. Imagine, I don't know, Victoria's Secret. Have you heard of them? Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Bank of America. These are household names. Why? Because if I had to guess, I'd say they're Fortune 500. My guest can correct me if they're not. But the whole deal is that those types of environments, working in that kind of corporate space, is no joke. You have to be at the top of your game. If you are not performing, they get rid of you. Okay. There's a lot of other people that are happy to work in those positions. And so you have to be an absolute all-star. So imagine doing all of that. And then life does what life does. Let's say there's a divorce. Let's say there's custody stuff in your life. And you come to the realization, or you find yourself in a new space where it's time to start your own agency. That is not easy to do, by the way. So our guest today has done all of these things, and I'm sure many more. It is my pleasure to introduce the one, the only Zachary Bennett.
Hi there.
Let's go. So, Mr. Bennett, we are going to start with the agency, and then we're going to go back in time.
Okay.
So... podcasting, Instagram, Google Ads, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything about this stuff that is even worth talking about?
Well, of course, communication of your business is important, and that's one of the many ways that we do it.
Where do you think people fall short? Because I know people just light money on fire with Google Ads very often. Do you have some sort of secret sauce with Google Ads?
Well, not with Google Ads specifically, but overall, consistency is a big problem. People don't really understand what it is they're trying to do, therefore they do it wrong. And so, a lot of times people come up to me and, I tried Google, I tried Facebook ads, and it didn't work. Well, if it didn't work, you're doing it wrong. This stuff is, it's known now. It works. If it doesn't work, it's because you've done something incorrectly. And so that's kind of what you have to look at nowadays. When social media first started, I remember when Facebook was brand new and businesses were wondering whether they should be on it or not. At this point, yes, you should be on social media. It's no longer a question.
Now that is as obvious as sunlight during the day. I have hired, fired, let go of, stopped working with, started working with dozens of Google Ads people throughout the year. Everyone just knows what they're doing. Everyone has the Google Ads certificate. It is you throw a rock, you're going to hit some Google Ads specialist in the head. Drives me crazy because there is a huge difference between an excellent Google Ads person who understands all of the conversion metrics, setting up things like call rail so you can listen to the call, know who called, first-time caller or not, know the name of the caller, blah, blah, blah. And someone who's like, well, I took some courses and I did like 2 programs. There's fluency, and then there's, I don't know, some high school student, And so if business owner X is out there going, how could I possibly know the difference? How can they possibly know the difference?
Well, unfortunately for business owner X, he probably can't. It constantly changes all the time. These algorithms, Google, everybody else, it changes all the time. The platforms change all the time. Unless you are in marketing, you probably aren't going to be able to figure out what you're doing unless you completely dedicate yourself to doing that, in which case you're no longer doing your own business. So my advice is hire somebody who that's what they do.
Yeah, so I guess the point I'm making is that they don't even know how to hire someone.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's the point I'm making, is that there's no chance in hell they're going to figure it out on their own. That is almost, I shouldn't say, there are some business owners I've met that when they hire us, they're like, what about this? And I'm like, well, this guy knows what he's doing. Okay. So there are unicorns, but for the vast majority of folks, first of all, Google ads. Okay, fine. Also SEO, I don't think so. Also Facebook, I don't think so. Also Instagram, you know what I mean? So like you can, like there's only so many languages you can speak fluently, right? Before you run out of hours in the day, and energy in your soul. So I guess the point I'm making is that I feel bad for business owners because as someone who hires Google ads, people struggle. I look at because I'm not a Google ads specialist, right? It's just not, you know what I mean? There's only so many things you can do. And so I don't know how they do it. How do they do it? I mean, people must just be getting ripped off left and right on this stuff.
Yeah, you have to hire people that know more than you do. I mean, I'm the same way. I completely count on my team. I'm like, okay, what's new this week? Because it's always going to be something, right? So I count on them to keep abreast of however the technology is changing. And then, you know, I pull the trigger on trying new things. I usually try it with us first, you know, to make sure whatever the new thing is going to be. But yeah, you have to find somebody, like you said, that speaks the language, speaks the technology fluently.
Yeah. And I mean, here's what I would do, listener. I would ask to speak to clients is what I would do. I think that's probably your best bet is go, hey, give me the name and email of 3 people that you've done Google ads campaigns for. And I want to personally talk to them. Right. And be like, tell me. And then month to month is the way I would do it as a business owner. I'd be like, I am not signing anything that lasts longer than a month. We're going to do it for a month. We're going to see how it goes. And for the business owners out there listening, look, it's expensive for an agency to get a Google ads campaign. So they might just say no, or they may to give you like a setup fee. They'll be like, yeah, because they're putting in, if they're doing it right, they're changing your website, right? Because you want a landing page that's actually on the website and not on some third party, just Joe Schmo, whatever site, right? So Google has an incentive because it knows that the traffic coming from Google ads to the site itself, that increases the time on site, it increases the chances they're going to come back to the website. There's a lot of metrics that help. And I know you're never supposed to say that Google ads positively affects SEO because maybe there's not a one-to-one correlation, but you can't tell me that someone who doesn't know about your brand, who now knows about your brand and may organically search for you later, isn't going to have an effect on organic rankings.
Sure.
So yes, I do believe there is a correlation if it's not causation.
We call it kiss the ring.
That's so good. Oh, that's so true. Yes, my liege. So there you have it. Okay, so that's a little bit of marketing. Let's talk a little bit about SEO. Have you heard this term zombie pages? People throwing this around?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about it again because that's not where my expertise is. But I have heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not here to grill you, but it's like zombie pages it's exactly what my company did for in the company I was at before for like 8 years. Just mass produce zombie pages. And we thought we were so much better than everyone else because they were producing just garbage and we were producing unique, what we would refer to as quality content. But a zombie page is just a page that nobody goes to. It's that simple. Like if you're producing pages, like it doesn't matter if it's 100% unique content written by an American author who knows what they're talking about. It makes no difference. If nobody's going to it, then it's a zombie page because basically Google's like, it's the Pacific garbage trash pack of the internet. Is all these blogs that, you know, all these business owners, and then they share it on Facebook, they share it on Twitter, everybody's doing it, you know, and it's not working for anybody. So we had to switch and start doing like 800, 1,000 word custom images, video. So now it's like every time we throw a pitch, it's an actual legitimate attempt at getting some traffic, you know? So that was our big shift. Do you guys do long form content? What are you guys doing in terms of content?
Yeah, we do. We do a lot of video. Video, of course, is very popular.
Oh Lord, huge.
So we do a ton of that. We do some blogging. We do a lot more podcasts than we do blogging.
Good for you.
Blogging is a couple years ago. You know, it's still good as far as SEO goes. Obviously.
Yeah.
But we'll do a podcast and then we'll do a transcription of the podcast.
Sure, I love that.
Get the same thing.
Yep. YouTube auto captions every word we say. This has been true for years now. I do want to get my small business owners into the podcast world, but many of them are exactly that, small business owners. They're like,
Sure.
bro, I'm out there spraying for bugs. Do you understand me? Like me and my like 40, like what am I going to do? A podcast about scorpions? Yeah, seriously, you know? But I'm like, dude, you got to take your phone out. Just talk to the camera. Hi, I'm out here at Joe Schmo's house, and here we have a scorpion infestation, and here's because everything they say counts as additional content. But I've said that until I'm blue in the face, and that it's not always received with the enthusiasm that I wish it were.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think understanding is, that's the biggest thing. And one of the biggest things that I'm a champion of is trying to convey understanding to business owners, because one, they don't have to understand everything, but they need to understand some things. And understanding why they have to do certain things that they may not think are important. That's our job, is to convince them, okay, you're doing this and this is why.
Yep.
But it's a challenge sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, I can get them to do Google reviews. That's not hard. I can get them to send photos. But the second public speaking enters the equation,
yeah. Some people are camera shy. Yeah,
Joe, I just so many, and I've attacked this my entire adult life. I've been like, it makes me nervous. I get scared and blah blah. Not anymore, not really, but I mean, those initial 5 years, 10 years, whatever, it's really nerve-wracking stuff.
Sure.
But you get used to it, over time anyway. But they don't want to do that, and that's fine. All right, so SEO, Google Ads, LinkedIn. Do you have any B2B clients where you're using LinkedIn?
LinkedIn has come a long way in the past year.
Yeah.
It used to be, 2-3 years ago, I told people don't even bother. LinkedIn was a monster.com type page. It was a place to go recruit people from. But Microsoft bought them. Microsoft wanted to compete with Zuckerberg. Now it's a social media content platform. And I think it's still feeling its way. But the way that you can target people on there by their job is wonderful as far as being able to target folks.
Yeah,
so
no question.
LinkedIn is, I don't think it's quite reached the potential that it can, but it's on its way.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people that the internet is 3 things. It's words, sounds, and images.
Yep.
That's it. That's all any of it can ever be. And so they're like, oh, what's with this new social platform? I'm like, hey, guess what it's going to be? Words, sounds, and image. Like, that's all it can be. They can constrain it, they can allow it, but that's it.
Right.
So what are you afraid of? Right? You're afraid of words, sounds, and images? Well, then you need to see a therapist, because you got some issues. I don't know about Snapchat. So LinkedIn is obviously a combination of those 3 things. The only difference that I see between these platforms, one of the differences is that you just have different communities. That's it. You have communities. You have communities of certain people behaving in a certain way.
Sure.
Parler. Did you hear about Parler?
Oh, what I know of them. What is there to hear?
So Parler is, dude, like back when Trump and the whole whatever, all that nonsense, they had a huge increase, and it's like Sean Hannity and Fox News and like super conservative vibes. But it just goes.
Are they the one that got canned from Amazon?
I don't know. Amazon.
Yeah,
so Parler,
somebody was being hosted by Amazon, the web services, and they just completely shut them down. I can't remember if that was Parler or somebody else.
Could have been. I mean,
political environment. I tell you what.
Yeah. So the point was that it's just, they're just communities, right? And if people are feeling like conservatives on Twitter were feeling judged, and like it was ridiculous, they didn't like that environment, so they just went and created a new environment, because the actual social platform itself is not the hard part. It's the community. Like, it's getting enough people involved so you can start selling ads, start making money, make the platform better. It's not that hard to create a social media platform in the grand scheme of things. So anyway, we got these different communities, and so LinkedIn, I would agree with you, has come a long way. Pinterest, do you guys ever do any Pinterest stuff?
Yeah. It's tried to come a long way, but hasn't, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
It's good for certain things. I think it's very niche, and actually niche is good. Too many people try to become everything to everybody. Right. I like things that fit nicely in their columns, because that means I can go to those columns when I need them.
Right.
So, and I think Pinterest has done a good job of that. But, it started off, people were, putting their recipes up, what they like to wear. It was for women. And then eventually, Coca-Cola had a page, and then Black & Decker had, and now it's, social media. It's like the .com boom. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but it's, everybody started jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, Pinterest, the Google Search Console, which used to be Google Webmaster Tools, had a link section at one point. They no longer, well, do they? I just remember from back in the day. And we would get like 40,000 links from Pinterest because every time an image would get repinned, which on Pinterest was way easier to get than like Facebook or Twitter or anything else, it would duplicate the link, even though the link itself was just an image. And then Google had their Google API vision thing, where it can start identifying what it's looking at. And I went, this is it. Like if we can get an image that relates to the business and get 40,000 backlinks and Google understands what the image is, well, then that's amazing SEO. And so I like Pinterest from that perspective, but I'm not sold on the personal injury attorney Pinterest page.
Right.
The self-storage unit Pinterest page. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. It's niche. And I will never pronounce that word right. People say niche, people say niche. I say niche. It's probably wrong.
Tomato, I think.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Okay, so let's cover Instagram too. Clients want Instagram, and we can create graphics for them for Instagram, but they really should be taking out their phone at their office and doing reels and talking and doing all that sort of stuff. Do you manage Instagram for folks?
We do. And a lot of what we do is we will, social media content doesn't have to be high production value depending on what it is. The stories and stuff like that, number one, you don't have time to do that. And you don't want a full crew there to shoot your story. So people can do it on their phone. We just have to tell them, this is the plan. This is what you need to do. And then they'll shoot it. Usually they'll send it to us, and then we'll perfect it and put it up for them. Usually that's how it works.
Right. I mean, people got to have budget for this, right? I mean, and a halfways. Do you have any clients that just have marketing budget and their Instagram is not that great and there's not that many followers, but they pay for it anyway because they want to invest into it?
I have people that don't invest enough into it, and I have people that want to be on a platform that isn't right for them. If it's because all these platforms have certain demographics, and I want to be on Snapchat. Okay, why do you want to be on Snapchat? Because you've heard of Snapchat, or do you have an actual reason? So a lot of times I'm talking them off the ledge of, they want to be on Facebook, but they have a product that's geared towards teenagers. And I tell them, you don't want to be on Facebook. You want to be on TikTok and on Instagram, and Facebook is now for older people. My kids wouldn't be caught dead on Facebook because that's where all the old people are.
Oh, no doubt. I was at a Taekwondo studio back before the pandemic, whatever. And some girl talking to me, whatever. And I was like, oh, Facebook link, whatever. She's like, I don't have Facebook. And I'm like, Instagram. She's like, yeah, Instagram, So you're absolutely right. It's this notion that everyone's got a Facebook is incorrect because they don't.
No. And they all do the same thing. I have a son that's 18 years old, and he does everything on Snapchat. And to me, I'm like, why would you bother? Facebook has the exact same thing. Because stories, yes. Real time, 24 hours, yes. Messaging, yes. Why on Snapchat? The thing that frustrates me is you don't have a wall. But that's where his friends are, so that's why he's there. It's not the platform. It's like you said, it's the community that's there.
That's right. Yeah, no doubt. And so it's just culture wars, they're not wars. That's not the right word to describe it. It's just, tribalism, the human way. This is just how we are. And we will always try to avoid our parents, right? This is just the nature of being young is just leave me alone.
Yep.
So they will find a way.
I see that from the other side too. I did a seminar the other day on TikTok, And I got tons of pushback from business owners that didn't want to have anything to do with TikTok because it's where the kids were. So it goes both ways.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. It's funny because I gravitate towards that stuff because I'm incredibly odd as a human being. But like if there's skateboard kids and stuff, I'm like, let's go. I'm at the skate park. I'm like the 137-year-old dude, like trying to like ollie, you know. I think that's fascinating. And then they really appreciate it when you're cool. You know what I mean? Like they're swearing up a storm because that's what you do when you're 15. You know, you're like, your parents aren't there, you're dropping F-bombs and blah, blah, you know. I don't care. I'm not there to be your parent, man. You know, I'm there because like I also enjoy this too. Like I'm learning this too. And I think if businesses took more of that approach of like, hey man, I'm coming into your space. So I'm talking to you business owners. Like if you're rolling up into TikTok, I don't know, maybe listen for a minute, maybe get a TikTok, maybe actually understand it for a second,
right?
You know, like learn the language. I was at the skate park the other day and they'll be like, send it. And the name of my company is Send It Rising. And it's older than that phrase, but that's a thing now. People talk about sending it and it means to like go with reckless abandon. Bro, just send it. So you'll pick stuff up, and there's no coincidence. And look, I mean, just don't be the stodgy old guy. Come on, businesses, you got this. All right, so we've done a pretty good job of covering a decent swath of the marketing puzzle. Let's go back in time. So you can tell me a story about your parents and where they come from, or you can start with your incarnation. It's your choice.
Well, let's see. My parents, my father was an airline pilot, and my mom was stay at home because I'm that old. Parents don't stay at home as much anymore. But grew up in Atlanta. I was a musician to begin with. I see you have the guitars on your wall.
Yeah.
I was started off as a recording artist. I recorded music. I toured with my band throughout college and after that, and then I got started an independent record label when the indie, society was kind of creeping up and everybody was on indie labels. And then Napster happened and the entire music industry went down.
So let's just
all the flames.
Boom, pause. All right, so let's focus in a little bit on the music. I'm going to bring you back all the way to like when you're 5, by the way. So that's coming. So just be aware of it. Like, you know, we didn't get to skip ahead. We just covered like 29 years or something. Let's talk about the link between creativity. Were you ever a lead singer?
I was.
Okay, well, there it is. So I have met a number of public speakers, business owners that were also lead singers in bands. So there is a correlate. I was too. In 3 different projects, 2 different CDs. So you pick up a guitar, you're noodling, you're playing. Do you play guitar?
I do.
Okay, there you go. So, and you're building something from nothing.
Right.
You know, you just have options and you're putting something together. To what extent did the music in your life play into your experience as a marketer?
Well, I think that creativity in whatever form makes us like I think you called yourself strange or weird. I say we have farcinardi is the way I put it. But yes, creative people are different. They're a different breed of cat than other folks. And we think about things in a different way, no matter how you're expressing yourself. So when I go from, writing music, which I started at a very early age because my mother played piano and she had one in the house, right? I wrote my first song when I was 5, which I can still play today without any fingers. But so I started creating things. I started understanding how the creative process works. And then in a band situation, you have to have an image. You have to have products. You have to have contracts where you're talking with agents and all of that sort of thing. And so all of that kind of nicely went into creative in a different field. now I just do the same sort of thing for businesses. I help them express who they are as opposed to me expressing who I am as a recording artist. So I see the tie-in being very close. I actually just I think probably 5 weeks ago now, my article in Gray Journal was about the tie-in between being a rock star and being a marketer. So it's very interesting that you touched on that.
No coincidences. Don't believe in them. So when you are in a band, you have to market, and it almost never works. There is
you never have any money.
Oh, you got no money. Okay, you're poor. You think that the talent is what's going to do it. You think, oh, it's the quality of the song. It's, you know what I mean? And then you have that hard lesson that, number one, you're probably not as talented as you think you are. I wasn't. I go back and listen to the old music, and I'm like, cringe, 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 and cringe. But then at the same moment, I listened to some of it, and I'm like, wow, like we were really onto something. Like that was really, I'm also impressed. And I cringe. It just depends. And at least in my experience, you're playing shows to 7 people, a lot, 4 people. Oh, CD release party, 100 people. And then let's say you rock out and you cannot avoid the marketing. Like you have to become a salesperson. And if I could go back and do it all again, bro, I would have just had 1 million flyers for our shows and just pitched and just gone out there with my guitar and been like, just jamming out, handing out flyers, you know what I mean? That's what I didn't do. And that's what I needed to do. Right. And so I'm still fighting that battle of like, hello, is there anyone out there?
Yep. Well, you actually made me think of something very interesting. There's business owners that are in the same position now. You described the way that you were when you were in a band. You were, it's all about the art and it's all about what I make, and if I build it, they will come. There's business owners that think the same thing. They think that, oh no, people will come see me because I make really good spaghetti, and yeah, that's great for your friends and family. But if you don't tell other people about it, you're not going to be a business. And it's the same thing as a musician or as a business, because a musician is a business owner. Their business is entertainment or CDs. I guess we don't have CDs anymore, streaming, whatever it happens to be, YouTube. But it's very similar in how they work. We used to talk about developing an image, a brand image for your band. You had a band image. Bruce Springsteen was your blue collar guy, and Madonna had her. She was all in lace, and everybody had their own brand that they kind of had, and everything that was done was to support that image. Businesses are the same way. There's UPS is brown, and they are a staple. Everybody has
the people at UPS right now are just like, really? Brown. Yep. Brown. It's so true. They are brown and yellow.
Yep.
Oh man. No, but you're absolutely right. And these high school kid who's listening to me right now. I'm talking to you. It's a businessman.
Yep.
And so don't think that you can't go start a business, because you can. If you've been in multiple bands, man, you're going exactly through that entrepreneurial journey. And there's a lot of kids that are in bands at young ages, and you got highs and lows, and you will learn one way or the other that whatever insecurity you have about being a salesperson has got to go away if you want success. And you are probably the salesperson. That was my big thing. That took me years and years and years to go. I was like, just hire a salesperson. I just need sales. I just someone do sales. Like, no, bro, you're the salesperson. There's no one that is going to evangelize your project like you, because it's a soul thing, Right. Oh, so I love that you were a musician.
Yep. Everybody started selling CDs out of the back of their car, selling tapes. I was around when tapes were a thing. I was around before digital music. I learned about. I actually went to college for music business first, And so I learned how to run a studio right before all the digital stuff happened, and it all became obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Well,
is
look, I
something
mean,
that still continues to this day.
it's
Technology.
never going to end.
Yep.
I have to mention this. So we are the first generation of individuals, and by that I mean those of us that are constantly online speaking. I mean, there are hundreds of hours of like me talking, right? We're the first generation that our great grandkids, they will basically look at us as the start, because because the generation that preceded me, like my father, there's nothing. There's like a couple of photos, and he passed away when I was very young. Mom, same thing. Like I don't even think I have a video of her at all, period. And so we are in like a biblical sense, like the Adam and Eve vibe of, my great, my 75 generations later, they'll be looking at these videos going, his ideas, and so I just want to put it out there to people that when you are on these shows, there's going to be a lot of incentive to be business focused, and because all these shows have a kind of a vibe, but it's beholden to us to talk about how love is the primary driver of everything. I happen to believe that there's a soul and we are not our body. I mean, these really heady concepts that are going to transcend time. It's important to mention those too. So I've loved having you on the show. I want to give you the last word because it's a short one. It's 30 minutes, right? In, out, and on our way. We'd love to have you back. As far as I'm concerned, we still got to go all the way back. You know what I mean? So we touched a little bit on the music, a little bit on that, and I love that we did. Very happy about it. But dude, we got your whole life story yet that we got to hit. We got to go back to like, what were you like when we were 5 hitting the piano? Like, we'll go there, right?
I'll play the song for you.
Yeah, track. So yeah, all right. So talk to your 77th generation down the line.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say to the 77th generation down the line. Things have changed. People are always, one of the things that you notice we talked a lot about change. You're talking about, my entire life, which has been quite a bit. And I've seen things come and go. And while the traditions of business are still true, we don't abandon how the things that we've learned, and going back and looking at case studies and figuring out what worked and what didn't work. That's called wisdom, right? And having experience like I do, we can pull from that. But that's also not a substitute for fresh ideas and keeping up on modern technology and all of that. So you have to go at it from both angles. And there's a lot of business owners who are older because, like you said, when you're younger, you're scrappy, you're starting out, you're underfunded. When you get older, you start to be able to do things with your business, but you're a little set in your ways. So, there's eager to try things, underfunded, have funds, and set in your ways and not willing to try new things. There's a middle ground for everybody, and we just try to massage them and get them going in the right direction.
I love that because that's timeless.
Right.
So you found it. You found timeless advice for, and we make jokes about it, but I mean, it's a good chance it's going to happen. It's a good chance that, 70 generations from now, they'll be, because they're going to find the best of the best. They're going to scour the internet and look for those clips of timeless wisdom and those sorts of things. And they're going to be sharing it on their social platforms. 2,000 years from now, they're going to go, my great, whatever grandfather said this about change. I mean, it's going to be a big thing. So we actually have a heavy responsibility as the first generation of humankind that can speak all the way. Because look at the effect of the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all those were texts that still echo, and that was the first chance that the written word really had the ability to expand in time. So could not be happier to have had you on the show. We would love to have you back. Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 214. Join us for the live show, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can chat with us if you do join us. We're also on iTunes and Spotify. You know the drill. You can join us for the live show, youtube.com/Send It Rising. If you're listening to us after the fact, like most people do, we still love you. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. You know the drill. Seriously, final word. Zachary Bennett.
Something that I was thinking of mentioning that you just said about the written word. I actually wrote a book, which I'm going to shamelessly plug right now. It's called Married to Marketing, and it takes the traditional thought that I was talking about, which is relationship building, and it goes from looking for girls when you're very young, going through the dating process, getting married. It even goes through divorce, and it aligns it with business in a way that people can understand. So check out my book, Married to Marketing.
I could not possibly love that more. We'll talk off camera about my book. We've written very similar books. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for swinging by the show today. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.